So let's start. Last week I whipped up a couple cleanups and still working on the client request sequencer test and discussed the sharding work with Xuhan and Riddick on Xuhan's work to improve the alien store performance by sharding the uh, the task queue and the threading by PGID. And currently still reviewing Sam's part 2 PR to wire up the object store and extend, the SeaStore and the object OMAP manager and extend manager. That's me, Chen Mei.
Last week, I still debugging on the NVD segmentation fault and found it is caused by garbage collection and that mess up the LB tree. And I found Sam has already fixed some bugs in garbage collection, so that should also solve the problem in my test. So I will verify it later. So that's all.
I didn't quite follow you. So Sam's latest change did address
Sam has fixed some issue in the GC. So he said that should fix the segmentation fault.
But you didn't get a chance to verify the fix, right?
Yeah, so I haven't verified it. I will verify it after the meeting.
There are other problems as well, but that should eliminate the most obvious one. I need to do some reworking on the garbage collector at the same time. Let me know what you find, though.
Sam?
I spent some time developing a way to reproduce the behavior Chunmei saw. Mostly, it was a minor bug in the LBA manager's lower bound or lookup implementation. It was just doing flatly the wrong thing. So I have a fix for that. I also found a bug with how the garbage collector is using the journal cursor, so I'm going to have to fix that as well. Not a huge deal. Aside from that, I'm trying to get this OMAP thing merged, and I am working on implementing the block support. That's it.
Thank you. Xuhan.
This week I am testing the PG pipeline parallelism PR and fixed several relative bugs. And I'm also reading the source codes and the documents about SeaStore, trying to catch up with other people.
Yingxin?
I'm fixing issues found by Sam in the Ono tree, and I think the issue is now fixed. And others, I have some reviews and discussions to support multiple devices in SeaStore. That's all.
Yingzhen, I'm worried about these bugs. I think would you be able to find some time to beef up the unit testing at that layer?
I saw
like
you have
a lot
already.
No, I
already
wrote exactly one test. So if you could take that file and expand it to support the full interface, that would be great.
Okay, I will take a look and see what to extend.
Well, I mean, the FL tree ONode manager interface is really small. It's like 3 methods long. So I want comprehensive support for all of the ways of mutating values, specifically the ONode value, and for insertion. And
okay, so insert ONode and mutate ONode, right?
No, I mean, I want you to look at that interface and think carefully about the number of ways in which you could provoke bugs. So be creative. I don't want to find bugs at higher levels.
Okay.
I can make suggestions if you're having trouble, but basically everything I tried didn't work.
Okay, so I will try to add tests at layer of TL manager.
I mean, you get what I'm getting at, right? Like the code for updating values doesn't have any testing really.
I think I have added tests using the test value implementation, but
I mean,
that is not enough because it doesn't submit transactions. So I think
this is kind of what I'm worried about.
okay.
So your
So
existing unit tests don't use the transaction manager interface, which I'm not wild about.
okay. Do you think if I add more transactions in the
To be
existing
honest,
tests?
I'd rather you remove. So you have a bunch of testing right now that relies on behavior that exists nowhere in SeaStore. So I'd actually rather you removed that entire abstraction. It would make your code easier to read too.
Okay.
It's okay if you don't want to. It's a moderate amount of work, but as a result, I don't really find that unit testing file especially valuable.
Okay. So I will add tests in the
Okay.
filtering manager. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
We can talk about it more if you want. It's just that the FL tree code is really complicated. We need better unit testing. I'm open to the notion that your existing unit testing is enough, if you think it is. But I don't know. We can discuss it if you disagree.
I'm good about it. I will
Okay.
start to add tests in the unit tests FL tree manager.
May I ask, what is the value of the non-transaction manager backend?
It's to sometimes I don't know whether the bug is related to SeaStore block layer or just relate to FL tree implementation. So I need that to understand which part is wrong.
Would it be possible to modify the unit tests so that they can be run in their entirety with either backend?
Sorry, what do you mean?
So right now you have unit tests that mostly don't test the transaction manager backend. They only test the other one. Would it be possible to modify those tests so that they run with both backends?
I think so. It is now running
that would be really valuable.
It is now actually running the both ends. Both
Literally all of the tests are run with both?
Yeah, sure. I'm finding.
Okay, I believe you. It's just I find that code to be difficult to interpret, especially the unit tests. Well, all of it really. Okay, well if that's true, then that's good. That addresses my concern. So the other part would just be filling in reasonably comprehensive tests at the FL tree node manager level.
Yeah.
Cool.
By the way, I also spot the timeout. Sorry, the failure caused by Crimson Messenger unit test every now and then. Even after the timeout, you might want to take a look at it to see if
we can need to expand the timeout.
No, not really. I looked into the testbed. The problem, the root cause is that there is still a leftover running process of a previous test of the Crimson Messenger unit test. That's why.
So why that should be stopped? Should be killed by the 120-second timeout.
In theory, it should have been killed by the timeout, but somehow it's not.
That's weird. Do you have the logs of the?
I don't have the one from the previous run. No, not likely. Actually, I tried to debug the existing process which failed to exit, but the backtrace doesn't show anything. All it showed is question marks, which doesn't help. I guess it was the it was mangled or something. It's corrupted or something. I'm not sure. Some of them have been running for like weeks or so since the last month. But this problem is not specific for your unit test. It also applies to some other test. I mean the Crimson test, unit test.
It's maybe a common issue, right? It's just not
Indeed.
only about.
What's
The
this?
one. Let me find the tracker ticket. Some of our Crimson unit test never ends.
I see.
Because-
Never mind.
Yeah.
Be important to fix those, or at least give them timeouts. I mean, never end. Like if it fails to hit the timeout, we can interpret that as a failure, but they should time out. Are we running them
But
via a script or something in make check?
Funny thing is that we do have two timeouts, both in both levels. In the C test level, we have a timeout like 1 hour or so.
Sure,
That's
but
the-
we could have one up at the script that runs them. Like a lot of stuff can mess up the C test framework itself. I wouldn't trust that so much if it messes up the process address space. I would want a timeout in the script itself that just kill -9s the process if it takes too long.
By script, what I mean by script, we do have a timeout embedded in the very unit test.
Okay, so what I mean is, if the unit test corrupts the address space or something, it might fail to crash. It might just run forever. In other words, it might fail to
Yes.
trigger the C-test timer. So
Yes.
timeouts embedded within the process that runs the unit test are not as reliable as timeouts elsewhere. So embedding one, for instance, in the script that Jenkins runs would be more reliable. You would have to do great violence to the hardware or to the OS before you prevented that timeout from working. Right?
Okay, I'll see. So putting another way, we
Oh.
could have a timeout at the driver of the C test, namely the run makecheck.ssh.
Yeah, that seems like a solid choice. Like, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have process also timeout, but having it happen in the script is a fail-safe. It'll prevent it from doing something silly.
We'll see. Yes, we can do that. But it's very, very annoying. Has it been around for half a year or so? Okay, thank you. That's it. Anything else?
Wait, Chudney, so that actually fixed it?
Yes, I have finished the test.
Okay,
Wow.
cool. In that case,
Well-
I'm going to go ahead and push that as a PR, but just so you know, there's at least one other crash. In case you hit it. But you may not. It requires pretty specific setup for the garbage collector.
Pardon, Sam?
There's at least one other crash I know about, but you won't hit it unless you intentionally make the working set of FIO very close to the total size of the device, which forces the garbage collector to run continuously. If you don't do that, it probably won't happen.
Okay, so it will take a long time, right? Very long time.
If it happens at all. If with the settings I gave you, it's only using half the device, so it might never happen under those conditions.
So I will update the test result by the release version. Okay.
Huh? No, I'm just saying. I myself know of another bug I haven't fixed yet. If you
Yeah, I see. You mean that when the device is almost full, right?
Yeah.
So then there is another issue. But
I'm
the
working on it
device
now.
is device is too big for me now. It will take me a long time to meet that to make the device full.
Well, I think it'll just never hit it. The way you have FIO set up, it's only ever going to write about half the total size of the device. The working set, that is, will be half the total working set size of the device. So if you set it to 1 terabyte of disk, I believe FIO is only set up to use 512 gigs of it. So SeaStore will always have half the disk available to it. This would happen if you set FIO to use like 900 gigs.
900.
Or something. But this isn't really important. I'm just saying, if you hit a different crash, I am working on it.
This one?
There's more bugs ahead if you've hit.
I'm just saying,
some of them.
I know of
Then
the
working
existence
on
of
them,
another
yeah.
bug. If you happen to hit it, don't sweat it too much. I'm working on it.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see.
I'll put out that PR. I'm gonna fix the ONode manager issues, or the OMAP PR comments as well. If we get that merged a little bit more quickly, that'll make it easier for Yingzhen to start beefing up the unit tests. That's it for me. Sorry, hijacked the end of the meeting.
Anything else? Nope. Okay, thank you, and have a good one. Talk later. See you next time.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.